Has the FBI really changed? The chairman of House Intel, Mike Turner from the great state of Ohio, joins us now. Chairman, thank you for joining us. Most of the media coverage of Durham's trip to Capitol Hill was of members berating Durham for what he did or did not do. I suspect your committee hearing was a lot different. Tell us what you learned.
It was. Well, Trey, when you read the Durham report, you probably had a flash of the past because these are all cast of characters that you either personally deposed or questioned in your time at the Intelligence Committee and other committees on Capitol Hill. And the conclusion you're not unfamiliar with because as we looked at this from the Intelligence Committee and serving together, that this was pretty clear that there was no basis for the FBI's investigation or for the allegations of Russia and Trump collusion. When we brought Durham in front of our committee, it was the issue of, okay, we know this. We've now had the Nunes investigation, the Horowitz investigation, the Mueller investigation, the Durham investigation. What do we do with it to try to fix the system? The FBI, in their FISA abuses in the Durham report, entered altered evidence before the court, didn't give exculpatory evidence. It didn't give them the most important evidence that this was actually opposition research paid for by the Clinton campaign. What are the reforms that we need to put in place to change this process? We had a very good discussion. I do think that as we take up FISA reform and as we take up issues of abuses at the FBI, that there is a path to have accountability, to hold people accountable when they do things that are misusing of the law enforcement arm of our government, and also there are ways to clean up FISA.
Chairman, the media and some Democrats, not all, but some Democrats like to tell us the FBI has fixed all of the things that led them astray in 2016. Do you believe that, or is there still more work that the Bureau needs to do to restore your confidence or the American people's confidence?
Right. Now, certainly the American public have seen it. There's unequal justice. And we certainly see the FBI, its powers, its tools being used in ways that have the appearance of political bias. And that's what Durham found. He found that, in fact, there was political bias in the FBI. And that resulted in the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. Imagine, Trey, if that investigation had not ever been opened, as Durham said, it was improper that it was ever opened. It stole 2 years of the Trump presidency and 2 years of this entire country. What we see now is an FBI that we have the attention of. We know that they understand that they've lost the faith of the American public, that we see that there are abuses that need to be addressed, and we're going to be implementing laws and changes for reforms. So they're being responsive, and that they're trying to respond to some of the issues, but I just don't think they're capable of it at this point. I think that we have a good dialogue going. I think Director Wray has finally begun to engage our committee on some of the past abuses and some of the solutions, but this is going to take congressional action. They're not going to do this themselves.
Chairman, you and I were together on that committee. We were there on day one when the Russia collusion story broke. Right. And as you noted, I mean, we were in the room for a lot of the initial interviews. We're almost 7 years later. You're a much better lawyer than I am, so I got to ask you, I mean, I still cannot tell you what led the Bureau to start a counterintelligence investigation into candidate Trump? I mean, because it started well before the dossier. People talk about the dossier, but this started before the dossier. Do you know, 7 years later, what prompted the Bureau to take a look at a presidential candidate?
Right. Well, Trey, you're the best lawyer I know, so don't throw that around. I think we all look up to you. So I do appreciate you asking this question, though, because there is some unsatisfactory answers we get from the Durham report. The Durham report concludes that an Australian diplomat initially contacted through channels gave information that they had heard that there was Trump collusion, and basically gave a rumor to the FBI from which this investigation began. But when you take all of the text from the individuals who began this investigation of their hatred for Trump, the fact that they wanted to get Trump, they used the word insurance policy and they were going to stop him. And then you get the fact that this is a Clinton paid for Steele dossier and a Clinton plan that's clearly identified to try to tie Trump to Russia and from that politically damage him. And you have, of course, everyone all the way up to the president being documented in the Durham report, here President Obama being informed. To me, it sounds like everybody's in on it, that in fact there's no one inception, that this is a group project. And I think as a group project, that's when you have to really be concerned, because what we saw was the political arm, a campaign, using the arm of government that has the officialdomness of of its police power and its actions and subpoenas against a presidential candidate. And that's what we have to say needs to be a much higher bar. This shouldn't be lower level individuals, lower level people who have political bias and influence that can hijack a presidential campaign and a president's first term.
Mike Turner, chairman of one of the most important committees in all of Congress from the great state of Ohio. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Appreciate you, Trey.